giving it to the rich, they're sitting here and distracting most of these people who would be affected by this by, oh, but we're taking away trans healthcare, right? So trans issues are just a big distraction for them to continue to push this agenda that ultimately harms the majority of Americans, right? Right. This is disgusting. It'll be interesting to see what happens and how it passes and if it passes and whatever. But they're doing this shit like in the middle of the fucking night, okay? Do you think they actually want accountability and to, yeah. They don't want that shit, okay? Okay, on to the next one. Ken Paxton can access your prescription records. This was a really, really interesting article. I really like to rely on Erin in the morning for a lot of her. She's an amazing trans journalist, and I really enjoyed this article by her. I didn't enjoy what it was about, but she really went in depth to talk about these things. So Ken Paxton and other officials can access your prescription records without a warrant and use it to target you and your healthcare as he's done with gender-affirming care. So what happened is last year, Ken Paxton filed 3 lawsuits against physicians that were treating adolescents with puberty blockers and hormones, okay? By February, Paxton boasted that he had effectively shut down these 3 doctors' ability to practice, 2 agreed to stop treating patients entirely, and a 3rd is under court injunction barring any care for trans youth. So what this journalist did is she realized that the way that the people that they targeted, the physicians' clientele, were trans men, okay? That means they were giving testosterone. What is testosterone? Testosterone is classified as a Schedule III controlled substance, which is logged in a statewide database that finally logs every controlled substance dispensed to Texans, the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, okay? So this was a tool used to combat the opioid epidemic and doctors shopping for narcotics. And every U.S. state and territory now mandates a PDMP, that's what the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, and it's an electronic registry of controlled substance prescriptions, yeah. Typically schedules 3 through 5, is that 5? Look at me go, I'm learning. That doctors and pharmacies are required to report, okay? So this is really alarming because now they're using this to target trans Americans. You already have a bingo? Congratulations! You got our first bingo! Okay, what do you want? What are you gonna get? Okay, what is our next winner? X. An X, okay, y'all know this? Are y'all paying attention? Okay, it's an X. Okay, I don't want any of y'all saying bingo and it's only one line. Okay. All right. So this is really alarming, right? So, and it gets even more alarming. Go on to the next slide. Partner states. Texas partners with 37 other states, territories, and entities to share data via the PMP. Okay, so that means they're not only able to access our state's information, they can access other states' information, and other states can access our information. Isn't that scary? There is no requirement to obtain a judicial warrant for the law enforcement to access the PDMP, meaning it would not be difficult for Paxton to send civil investigative demands to the State Board of Pharmacy to access the records. Not only are PDMPs accessible without judicial oversight in much of the country, they also function as a nationwide surveillance network. At least 42 states allow PDMP data sharing across state lines. Okay, and I think that this is really important to know, especially whenever we start thinking about access to abortions, right? And there is a state, it was Louisiana who they made Plan B like a controlled substance or something like that. And especially when we have these states that are sitting here trying to block anybody who helps others get abortions through state lines, this is a way that they can use to target those people, right? Okay, so it's not only going to affect trans Americans, it's also going to affect Americans who are looking for reproductive health care access, right? So I think it's important to understand how all of these issues affect each other, okay? Allowing the targeting, or the targeting of gender-affirming care is thus a part of a much larger pattern. It exemplifies how data collected for one purpose Public health and safety and patient safety may be repurposed for surveillance and social control. Many states vest their pharmacy boards with power to add any drug to the PDMP's watch list as a drug of concern without legislative approval. Okay, so they can just put any drug of concern and they can share that information with anybody without a warrant. Isn't that fucking scary? And the reason why she found this was because she noticed how it was all trans men with using testosterone instead of estrogen isn't necessarily a controlled substance at this point, but they could easily make it one, right? Right. Okay, so this is something that ultimately would affect most of us. Right. Okay, so, sorry y'all, it's a little hard today, but okay, on to the next one. Okay, here we go. Queer news. The administration was sued for cutting funding for LGBTQ health research, okay? So Lambda Legal, along with a few other law firms, filed a lawsuit on the 20th against the National Institute of Health and the Department of Health and Human Services for terminating over 100 legal grants that included funding for critical HIV research. Make some noise for that, okay? It's important to celebrate the people who are showing up and fighting back against these policies instead of just complying, right? So something we talk about every week here is compliance versus resistance, especially with a lot of these the executive orders that don't really have any legal way to enforce them, but what they like to do is try to threaten the funding for certain institutions, right, and organizations. You see him targeting like the universities right now, Trump targeting the universities by threatening to pull their funding. But here, yes, they were trying to pull funding for HIV research. In their complaint, they claimed that by eliminating these grants for LGBTQ research, the admin violated the Administrative Procedures Act by relinquishing money that Congress had already approved. Moreover, they argued that cutting the funds violated the Constitution's due process clause by targeting research aimed at improving the lives of LGBTQ plus people, okay? They said, these cuts guarantee that particularized health needs of LGBTQ people will go unstudied and unaddressed, terminate clinical trials midstream, and severely impact the lives of participants in those trials, and decimate the careers of researchers like me, setting us back decades, okay? According to Lambda Legal, these research grants are worth more than $800 million and are estimated to be less than 1% of the total NIH portfolio, okay? So they're just purposely targeting LGBTQ people, but they're fighting back and saying, we will not allow this shit, okay? So make some noise for that, okay? Okay. Really important. I think that what's really important here is that these lawsuits, they're targeting the enforcement mechanisms of these policies and these executive orders or whatnot, right? They're not actually arguing about whether this type of research is essential or not, whatever, right? It's like, you just can't do this. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, right? And so I think that that's something that we see with a lot of these lawsuits that are fighting back on these this administration's bullshit policies. On to the next one. Okay, this anti-trans rally that happened in Seattle. Have y'all seen about this? Okay, so there was a protest by a conservative Christian rally by Mayday USA, a group touring the country to speak out against the reproductive and LGBTQ rights with the slogan, #Don't mess with our kids, right? So they always like to hide under this idea that it's about protecting children, and then what did we talk about a few weeks ago, how they took the school lunch money from kids because they wouldn't remove trans kids from being able to play sports. So it's like, you hate trans people that much, you're literally going to take away kids' school lunches? And then you're gonna sit there and say that it's about protecting the kids? Shut the fuck up, okay? Anyway, so the group wrote in a press release that they will not stand idly by while the children of our nation are indoctrinated by a liberal, political, and sexual agenda that seeks to destroy their God-given identities. Bitch. God made these rubber titties, okay? I'm just saying, Jesus blessed me with these rubber titties. Okay, the organizers of the counter program called Keep Your Bibles Off Our Bodies, okay? calls the May Day USA rally a well-funded anti-trans, anti-queer event provocatively being held in the heart of the queer community. So what happened is they were in a park that is well known for hosting a lot of LGBTQ people and events and stuff like that. And so what they did say, May Day did respond saying that they tried to get approval for a different park that didn't go through and that was their second choice. Who knows if that's actually true? Still, leave us the fuck alone, bitch, okay? As tensions grew, the protesters began throwing objects at officers who showed up in riot gear and shoving them. Over a period of several hours, the police handcuffed multiple protesters while pinning them to the ground. The Times said the protest came amid new city rules permitting officers to use certain weapons like tear gas and pepper spray against disorderly protesters. Which protesters were they arresting? The trans people, right? So I'm sure that it will come as no surprise that I'm sure many of those officers are also a part of the organizations like May Day USA, okay? And I don't understand why we're passing more provisions for police to have more fucking power and tools to oppress us right now. I think that that's disgusting, and I am for defunding and abolishing the police, okay? Talk about that later, we can talk about that later, okay? Happy to share resources and ideas, and that is something that is new to you, okay? The mayor responded, when the humanity of trans people and those who have been historically marginalized is questioned, we triumph by demonstrating our values through our words and peaceful protest. We lose our voice when this is disrupted by violence, chaos, and confusion.
So did he lock up the police after saying that?
No, right, exactly. So I wanted to put this in here to talk about this idea of what is violence? What is violence? I think violence is taking away the rights of trans people. I think it's taking away the health care of trans people. It's threatening the safety of trans people by ideas, by May Day USA. And whenever we fight back, we're called the ones that are violent. Fuck off. I do not want that, okay? Yes, violence, chaos, and confusion, that is by May Day USA, not the people who are standing for the truth and for the rights of marginalized communities, right? So that was a disappointing response, and then they went on saying that Seattle's a safe place for trans people, yada yada. Bitch, if you are deploying your police officers on trans people, protesting anti-trans people, you are not a safe place for trans people, right? It's important that we continue to call this out for what it is, bitch. Fuck them. They should not have been arrested. And yeah, y'all can Google for more research and ideas. Whenever of the footage, sorry. So whenever they were being arrested, the people who were filming were like, hey, do you know what you're being arrested for? And they're like, no, I don't know what I'm being arrested for. I haven't been told what I'm being arrested for. They were just arresting them. Okay, so that's gross, disappointing, and yeah, that made news. So I don't know if y'all see it. It was kidnapping. It is kidnapping. I mean, it's really scary right now. Even if you see ICE going in and just taking anybody off the street, and then they disappear, and you don't know what happens to them. There's no kind of record keeping. There's no accountability, and then it's also really alarming. Like, they just look like regular people. Okay, how do you trust that there's not just somebody in a fucking? But they're selling ICE uniforms on Amazon right now. Yeah. Coming and snatching somebody off the streets and taking them away. It's a really fucking scary time that we're living in, y'all. Just so y'all know. I spent last night crying, so it's okay. I put on my setting spray today. That's why we're doing these things together, talking about these things together. Just understand, like, no matter what's happening, we have our community. We're able to talk these things out and figure out how to move forward. So I know it's really hard. The news this week is hard. And especially now that we're reaching the legislative session, a lot of us are really exhausted hearing a lot of these really difficult ideas. But you know, this is why we do these kind of things. So thank y'all for being here. The weight of these cities are nothing compared to the weight of the fucking bullshit that we're fucking dealing with. Okay, on to the next one. The Army will change trans troops records, okay? So this is something that we've been covering is the U.S. Army trying to remove trans troops, right? So this is something that went through the courts. The lower courts found it to be unconstitutional to remove the trans troops. It went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, although not ruling necessarily against the findings of the lower courts, still went ahead and allowed the Trump trans military ban to go into effect, okay? So, and now it gets pushed back down to the lower court, and then they have to do another fucking like ruling or procedures or whatnot. But by the time they announce, even if they were to block it, the damage is going to be done. They already have to go ahead to remove these people, okay? So, and not only are they doing that, they're changing their records. So it's just like they're just being so as shitty as fucking possible, right? New guidance for how the U.S. Army will implement the trans military ban says that its Human Resources Command will alter records for trans troops to reflect their sex assigned at birth. The new 14-page memo explains that some of the administrative steps the Army is taking to implement the trans military ban could be reflective of steps being taken by all of the military's branches, okay? So commanders will take immediate measures to update personnel records and administrative systems to reflect biological sex for all individuals. Other measures the memos lists include requiring everyone in the military to be referred to with pronouns that reflect their biological sex, including the words sir and ma'am, and stating that access to intimate spaces will also be determined by sex efforts. So they're going after pronouns, they're going after bathrooms, bitch, and I just hate being called ma'ams, okay? I just hate being ma'am. I remember the first time I was ma'amed, I was like, what the fuck? What the hell? There are about 4,200 trans people serving in the military, and 1,000 of them have already identified themselves and volunteered, okay? It's not actually voluntary, right? So these people are leaving in the hopes that they still will receive their benefits. Is it guaranteed that they're going to receive their benefits? I think they're going to give them their benefits. But they are leaving voluntarily, right? Because what they're going to be doing is they're going to be going through all the records, and if anybody shows any, they're going to go with their health records. And if there's any kind of gender dysphoria, anything about them changing their names or accessing gender-affirming care, they're going to kick them out of the military. Okay? So that is really disappointing. And I think it's also important to note that the majority of our trans troops are high-ranking military personnel that will take years and a lot of money to replace, right? So it's not just like, it's literally, they're just harming themselves. They're just hurting themselves by hating trans people the way that they do, okay? So yes, volunteer to leave before the June 6th deadlines in hope of getting some of the benefits of voluntarily leaving the military. So we'll see if that happens, but you know, with the way they're treating trans people, I think it is safe to say that it is unlikely. On to the next one.
They'll get their benefits just quiet.
Yay! Something good, okay? The Trump administration must restore trans mentions, okay? So what we saw is, almost immediately with the Trump administration is they had to take down any word mention of trans within government websites, including government research, okay? So it's really hard to look through documentation regarding any kind of research and education about trans people and trans healthcare. But a judge ordered that the Trump administration must restore articles by doctors and medical researchers that were removed from government-run websites focused on patient safety because they contain references to trans people, okay? U.S. Judge Leo Sorokin in Boston sided with two doctors, opens new tab at Harvard Medical School whose patient safety articles were scrubbed from the website after Republican President Donald Trump signed an executive order requiring agencies to remove all statements and policies promoting gender ideology. I laugh because, oh my gosh, we went over one of these news stories that it was about one of the bombs that they deployed, that it was called the Enola Gay, and it was flagged. They were like, get it off! It says gay! They're just literally, they're so triggered. Like, they sit there and say, we're the fucking snowflakes, bitch. Y'all need to chill the fuck out, okay? That's getting a little much. This is a flagrant, am I saying that right? Violation of flagrant I am story time queen, I swear. Violation of the plaintiff's First Amendment rights as private speakers on a limited public forum, okay? So obviously it's the First Amendment, something that I'm very familiar with as a drag queen in Texas, okay? Sorkin ordered the administration to restore not just the two doctors' articles to the PSNet, but all other content authored by private parties that were removed from the website pursuant to Trump's executive order following a word search for items that contain certain items. Make some noise for that, okay? Again, it is about that it's just a violation of our constitutional rights. Right? And they don't have the power to actually implement this fucking bullshit, these executive orders and these policies that they're trying to do. Okay? Okay. Yeah. On to the next one. Is everybody doing good? Y'all are really quiet today. It must be the big titties, huh? Y'all are mesmerized. Okay, I'm just gonna go over some other state news because I just wanted a little bit more good news. And sometimes I have to look at other states for that, okay? Washington Governor Bob Ferguson has signed a comprehensive students' rights bill into law that protects LGBTQ youth, angry Republicans who feel the legislation quashes parental rights, right? So make some noise for that. They love yapping about parental rights until it comes time for parents to decide whether or not they want to take their kids to drag story time, right? Right. Okay, who got bingo? Is it an X? Yes. Okay! Confirmed? Confirmed! Congratulations. Take whatever you would like. You better get that cocker fan, okay? Okay, on to the last one. It's going to be a blackout, and normally we have several winners at the same time, and all out pitch, okay? We're not here for rules at L&L, especially as queer people. We're here to break the motherfucking rules, okay? So whatever gets the fun, everybody can win. Just kidding, I only have 2 or 3 bags, okay? So, but yes, now we're going off to blackout, so your entire card covered, okay? Everybody doing okay? Are we doing good? Okay. So I think that this is great. So it bans discrimination against marginalized groups, including LGBTQ people, and establishes clear and compliant procedures for when violations occur, okay? It limits the parental access to children's health care and counseling information, which will protect many LGBTQ students from being outed to their parents without consent, okay? And that is a stark contrast to the kind of bills that they are trying to pass here, right? Where they're trying to give parents access to all of their school counselor notes, anything that they check out from the library, if they want to use a different name or pronoun at school, right? So this is a stark contrast to the kind of policies that we're seeing here in Texas. I think it's important to recognize that this is not something that's being passed in a lot of other states. There's other people within our country who are looking to protect these communities, okay? Including this judge in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Iowa blocked key provisions of this bill that targeted school libraries and LGBTQ students, at least for now, okay? So they filed a lawsuit on behalf of students, teachers, and community advocates, and it was paused temporarily by a temporary injunction that was lifted by a federal appeals court facilitating the removal of 3,000 books from some Iowa public schools. And what do you think these books had something to do with? Any mention of queer people, any mention of marginalized communities, especially Black and brown stories about indigenous people as well, right? So they want to go ahead and take out all this information about marginalized communities, trying to say that it's somehow inappropriate, right? As per a press release, the court has now declared a significant chunks of this bill are unconstitutional. They say that the don't say LGBTQ portion of the law has been sharply limited. The press release states, GSAs, gay straight alliances, anybody ever heard of gay straight alliance? And their activities must be permitted without restriction. Books and materials may not be banned for containing transgender characters or same-sex relationships, and teachers can answer students can answer student questions on these topics, and they must be permitted to refer to their partners, even if same-sex. So make some noise for that. Interesting one because of the way it kind of like bounced around the courts, but ultimately, you know, they're standing and siding with LGBTQ people. So we love to see it.
Or the law.
And the law. Basic human protections that we're supposed to have as Americans. Right. Yeah, just because I'm like, bitch, I honestly like, y'all really don't have anything better to do with your time than to hate on trans people, do these fucking rallies in the parks and stuff like that. I just could not imagine having that extra time on my hands, okay? I'd rather make some art or do something fun, you know? Okay, on to the next one. Okay, what do we have here? My brain is, we're reaching the Bridgitte. You know, exactly. Okay, the Supreme Court has restored legislative voting rights this is motherfucker. Of a Maine state lawmaker, Laura Libby, after the Democratic legislative leader stripped her of those rights after she attacked a trans minor on social media posts that posted the trans students' athletes before and after transition pics. Dead named her and misgendered her. The court issued its decision in a brief, unsigned order that didn't explain its reasoning. Okay, so this is a really alarming pattern that we're seeing by the Supreme Court, right? They also did this, as we already talked with the trans, the military ban, the trans military ban, right? They went ahead and allowed that to continue without having any kind of good reasoning for it. And then they're going to go ahead and protect this person without saying anything about why they're protecting this person, right? So it really sets a really alarming and dangerous precedent of how the Supreme Court is ruling, how they're working, and the implications for what it means for trans people here, right? So that is scary shit, all right? On Thursday, a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction blocking blocking President Donald Trump's executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Make some noise for that, okay? And ordered the agency to reinstate employees who were let go in a mass layoff last March, okay? The Honorable Judge John? I don't know how to say that, if anybody knows. We shall wander together, okay? They issued the injunction stating that the plaintiffs illustrated a stark picture of the irreparable harm that will result from financial uncertainty and delay impeding access to vital knowledge on which students and educators rely, and loss of essential services for Americans' most vulnerable student populations, okay? And then, hours after the injunction was granted, Trump obviously had some fucking bullshit to say. To go see his crazy fucking wolf-like statement for Memorial Day, where he just like, on Memorial Day, literally he takes everything as a way to push his agenda, right? Remember when he went and attacked trans people on like Women's History Month, History Month or something, while also like removing information about women's history from like government web pages? Like it was like, bitch, what the fuck? Okay, anyway, hours after the injunction was granted, the Trump administration filed an appeal accusing the judge of being a far left judge, right? This is something that you saw him speak on in that statement that he made over Memorial Day weekend, who has dramatically overstepped his authority based on a complaint from biased plaintiffs and issued an injunction against obviously lawful efforts to make the Department of Education more efficient and functional for the American people. Okay, so I'm bringing this up because this is something that the federal government is really kind of watching, is the way that judges are blocking a lot of these things, right? They're blocking, I forgot where I heard this, or who was I listening to that was teaching me about this? But they are looking to try to restrict the way that judges can block these orders, right? In a way that would only protect the plaintiffs in the case rather than everybody who is affected by those kinds of orders. Am I saying that right? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, good, I'm fine. But yeah, so that's something that you're seeing a lot more injunctions by judges more today than in previous years, right? But I think that is really important, and it also would really slow down the courts or whatnot everybody affected would have to file a lawsuit to get their basic fucking constitutional rights protected, right? So it'd be interesting to see how they move that forward. Was that heard by the Supreme Court or something? I think it was heard by the court. I should have, no, I'm sorry, I should have known all this, but, okay, it's too busy with my room titties trying to figure out what's here. Okay, but yes, I think that it's really important to understand the way that we're seeing a lot of these things being blocked by judges, correct? Correct, right? Including the drag ban that was passed last legislative session, which I was a part of, the lawsuit, and it was ultimately blocked by a judge, right? So, yeah. By a 84-year-old Ronald Reagan appointed judge. I love telling this story, I'm gonna say it one more time. I had to go and explain to him what these rubber titties are and why I need them to look like Dolly Parton. And he said, my rubber titties are free speech, bitch. Okay? So it is actually pretty funny because they also draw pictures of me whenever I do a little mermaid number. So part of the drag band was like any sex toys on stage was banned, right? And I do a little mermaid number where I go, gosh, what's a gizmos and play? And I pull out dildos and vibrators and all shit. And so that was literally part of what we presented to the judge was me dressed as the Little Mermaid with a dildo in my hand. Like, do we really need this? Is this really what we want to be sitting our time on? I'll have to do that number next week for now. Okay, I'll do that number next week. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, I go over this every single week just in case we do have anybody new in the audience, and if you've been here before, I'm sure you've heard me say this, and just stick around for a second, okay? If you are looking to change your gender marker or name on any of your documentation, please seek legal counsel before you do that, okay? Right now it's really hard to do so. A lot of trans people are getting their gender markers switched back whenever they go to get their passports renewed and whatnot, right? So please go to Trans Legal Aid in Connecticut, Texas, Lambda Legal, or 10. They're all clickable right here, okay? And I say this because they are keeping lists of people who are looking to try to change their name or gender markers. Here in Texas, Ken Paxton is keeping a list. Do we know why? Because he's an asshole, but who knows what he's going to do with that shit, you know? So please, please, please be aware of that, okay? Okay, on to the next one. Because he's an asshole. That makes sense for everything. Okay, we're going to talk about the legislative session, okay? So there's a lot going on. We are reaching the final week of the legislative session, okay? Which means these bitches are trying to do as much as possible with the limited amount of time that they have, okay? Which means they worked over the weekend to do what? To pass the 10 Amendments bill on the Sabbath. Ah! Bitches, motherfuckers. Okay, let's get into it. General updates. Okay, bill filing quick deadline passed a long time ago. I just keep this up because I'm like, thank God. Okay. We had a total, I think actually it was 206 bad bills. The majority of those at this point are dead. How many at this point? I don't know, okay, because things are moving fast, but the majority of them are dead. We're at 19 weeks down and one more to go! I haven't heard anything about a special session, so I'm just hoping that that doesn't happen. If there is a special session, legislation will continue, okay? But if it's over, bitch, I'm taking a vacation. Okay? As we all should, okay? Please take care of yourself. I'm gonna go get a massage on Thursday. No, local salon and spa, they granted me complimentary quarterly massages. Isn't that so sweet? They saw these rubber titties and said, bitch, get her in here, okay? So we do have the Equality Texas has their bill tracker on their website, and there is a bill that you want to follow, and then again, their rapid response team. It is pretty limited how involved you can get right now, other than just watching them say shit on the floor. Today they did, the second reading of the drag story time bill. on the floor, and I just don't like going up and listening to them because it's just hard to listen to, you know? And nothing you do or say is really gonna change their minds at that point. So honestly, please protect yourself if you do go up there and listen to what they're saying. It can be really difficult. But if you wanna go up there and see what the fuck they're doing, go up there, bitch, okay? And make sure you look as queer as possible, okay? I mean, if you want to. I'd be up there with my girl. What if I go like this? That's an idea. Okay, on to the next one. I can make nimble pasties that say free speech. Okay, important dates and deadlines. This just passed the last day for the House committees to report Senate bills. Yeah. Today is the 27th, right? Look at that, I know the day. It's the last day for the House to consider second reading of Senate bills. Of course, on the very last day they're hearing the drag story time bill, so that they're getting it in. The last day, and tomorrow is the last day Senate can consider all bills on the second or third reading. And on Monday is, I say it wrong every time. How are you supposed to say it? How? C-A-D-A? See, I want to say sign die, okay? But, yeah, because I just want to say sign die, bitch. Die! C-A-D-A, I'm a cultured diva today, okay? Yes, it's on Monday, so we're reaching it, okay? But it doesn't mean that there's not a lot more things that can happen until then. Have y'all heard of that? C-A-D-A? Okay. On to the next one. Okay, this is a hearing highlight via Quality, Texas. This is about last week. They had a dedicated group of community members spend a long day at the Capitol on Wednesday waiting to testify against HB 1106. This was on Wednesday. The cruel bill that would allow parents to send their queer and trans kids to conversion therapy, misgender them at home, or taunt them for their identity without any safeguards to protect the children, okay? So this is literally making child abuse legal, okay? Isn't that fucking disgusting? This bill seeks to change the definition of child abuse by removing certain actions from the definition. Much like the first committee hearing for this bill, the stories shared during testimony were heart-wrenching, and yet hearts of enough committee members remained thoroughly unwrenched as they voted to pass the bill. Everybody say boo. Boo. Who went to go testify against the bill? Anybody here? You went to testify?
I think you said why. My bad.
Oh no, your opportunity has come and gone. But there were some good testimonies. Texas led BS on Instagram likes to post a lot of their the testimonies that are really good. But yeah, that was a hard one. I think that's disgusting. That's what we're focusing on. As a my mom was very supportive of me, but my father was not, and did taunt me for my gender identity as a kid. So these things, I really do think that like a lot of my activism work is based on protecting my inner child, and this one was a hard one to read about. Okay, on to the next one. Your dad is awesome! Thanks so much for their dad! Makes a noise for his dad. Honestly, we love supportive families, and supportive parents mean so much to bring your kids to events like this with, still, I mean, even as an adult, it matters how your parents treated you as a kid, okay, because it will come out at some point, but you're like, wait, I don't think that was right, all right? But yeah, so I love that. Aww. I was doing a drag story time, and I asked the kids, I was like, what makes you feel like a rainbow in the sky, like a good day? And this little girl yells, cuddling my mom! And another little girl goes, me too! And they both like grabbed their moms, and it took all of me not to burst into tears right there. Like, it was just the sweetest thing. Supportive parents are so important, so if you're a supportive parent, I appreciate you. Make some noise for supportive parents. I'm just thinking about it. Gosh, I must be PMSing or something. Okay. Past the second chamber. This is a update on Friday. I think more things have moved along. Yes, I'm sure, that's fine. It literally throw more things in there. There's things that you see. SB 11 dedicated prayer time in schools. They're trying to pray in the schools. SB 1188, narrow binary definition of sex on electronic health records. SB 965, teachers can engage in religious speech and prayer in schools. So they can do that, but they can't affirm a student's gender identity by using different pronouns or a different name, right? Voted out of... Hi! Y'all make some noise for Brad from Equality, Texas. I'm sure you know a lot more. I'm using your email blast from Friday, but I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that has happened since then. Voted out of committee in second chamber's SB 1396, prohibition on adopting national sex ed standards. SB 1999, legalizing misgendering of students. HB 229, narrow definition of biological sex. And HB 1106, conversion therapy no longer considered child abuse. Ew! They're doing on. Yes, and they also do target intersex people. Right? Because whenever they sit there, they're trying to have these narrow definitions of sex. Of course, they don't know anything about intersex people, right? They just want it to be male or female. Did y'all see that exchange that went viral on the internet, where they're like, what about intersex people? And they're like, that's true. No, that's true, you know. But yeah, they're not thinking of intersex people. And Maya's intersex. Maya's going to talk a little bit later about how some of the way that these policies will implement them or affect them. Okay. Okay. Let's keep it going. Okay, SB 10 moved forward despite a federal court ruling that a similar Louisiana law violated a constitutional required separation of church and state. So come September, every public school classroom in Texas could be required to display the 10 Commandments. Bingo! I told you we were going to have multiple bingos. Y'all go over there, get those checks, get your prize. The 10 Commandments in schools, y'all, can y'all fucking believe that? Okay, I was people, but what is it called whenever it's like you comply, but like not malicious compliance, right? Put the 10 Commandments up there, put other religious texts up there next to them from other things, you know, do something like that. There was a teacher online who shared that since they couldn't put any pride flags or anything in their classroom anymore, they carry a rainbow accessory assortment of pens in their pockets in their uniform. Isn't that cool? So there's different ways you can get around it, but this is fucking crazy. This is Christian nationalism. This is white supremacy, and it's really gross, okay? I am a proud graduate of Texas public school systems who was, we got some, but yeah, this shit's fucking crazy. Okay, and then the bill preliminary passed the House 88 to 49 on Saturday. The Jewish Sabbath day, which the 10 Commandments forbid, as Representative James Tallarico said in an effort to highlight the legislative hypocrisy, okay? And speaking of James Tallarico, actually, we went to this high school together. Did you know? Oh, like a year, I didn't know him, but apparently we went to the same high school. Somebody told me that. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, some wins. SB 2880, oh my god, died over the weekend, which would have allowed anyone in the state to sue those who manufacture, mail, or deliver medication abortion to. You go, bingo? Fine, I'll allow another bingo winner. Y'all go get whatever you want. Go get it. Okay, fine. No more after this. Just kidding, it's fine. What do we have left?
Free beer for everybody.
I got the back and I go first. Y'all are shady. I'm like clapping fan instead. Oh, you got the sticker? The stickers are cute, right? I really love them. Okay, it would require any attorneys who file lawsuits against it to pay for all legal fees. So make some noise for that. Okay, that was like a really big abortion restriction that a lot of people had their eyes on. That was really scary. And then also SB 18, which is Texas's version of the STATE Act, also died. That would have required voters to show proof of U.S. citizenship, which would have disenfranchised plus thousands, hundreds of thousands of voters, okay? So, make some noise for now, we saw some each time. That matters, okay? Okay, on to the next one. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more after the break. I am going to talk a little bit about the THC ban that's happening and how you can get involved in that. Make some noise if you're a stoner. Don't look, God. I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody that I am a stoner, and I love being able to walk to a little smoke shop right around the corner from my house before I do my makeup to get stoned to do my makeup, okay? We can't have anything nice in Texas, bitch, what the hell? Okay, I just want my gummies and my little joints, alright? But that is what they're focusing on right now. But here are some resources, things that are coming up outside of the legislative session. We do have an LGBTQ Quality of Life Commission for the city of Austin. Make noise for that, okay? City commission dedicated to LGBTQ people and issues. I am on the commission, so I am a city official. I have to say it while I bounce my tits.
Bouncing, girl. Bouncing,
This
bouncing.
is what it looks like.
Bounce your titties, girl.
Okay, meet me every third Monday at 6:30 at City Hall. Oh my God, right now they push me. You see that? The Austin Trans Resource Guide, some of the commissioners and I put together a trans resource guide, which can be accessed right here. Okay, remember, here's my link tree. The Austin Trans Resource Guide is on my link tree. Okay, so no matter what's happening politically, there are so many different organizations and people who are here to help provide any kind of resources and access to care or whatever you need, okay? And affirming spaces as well, if you just want to go out and feel like you're in a space where you're supported and comfortable, right? And then also, if you do have a business or a resource that is not on the guide, there is a way to apply to get on the guide on here as well, okay? So that is it for bingo. How's everybody doing? Okay, to wrap up the first half, we're gonna have some drag. I want some drag now. Okay, welcome to the stage. Very actually a multi-billion-dollar industry. All right. SB3 is a bill that aims to ban THC and nearly all other cannabinoids in Texas. This means you can go to jail for a product that is federally legal, okay? It is federally legal. They are trying to make a state ban on that. Why do you think that they're trying to make a state ban on that?
Because they suck.
Gay people to use it.
Because
Pharmaceutical.
because many marginalized communities, yes, use THC, and it's a way to incarcerate people, right? So they want to incarcerate more people. They're going to go ahead and pass these things, and it does target a lot of marginalized communities, right? SB3 passed in the Texas Senate with a 24-7 vote. And then it was passed to the Texas House for a vote, and it would effectively wipe out the hemp industry in the state of Texas. Bitch, what the fuck? I love my joints. Okay, and also there are literally so many businesses that rely on this product to stay in place, including the business who put this together called Redeemer Small Batch, okay? They are connected to the Little Gay Shop. So if you go visit the Little Gay Shop on the east side, they are also there, okay? And I love Redeemer because they actually is somebody that I used to work with before I did drag full time. We worked together at Bird's Barber Shop, okay? And now they own a THC business and I do drag. So love that we get to work together on this. Hope that it doesn't fucking go through. This would mean the loss of 53,000 Texas jobs, the closure of over 8,000 small independent businesses, and the reemergence of potentially dangerous, unregulated markets, right? You do see that weed has been, poisoned with that stuff, fentanyl, right? Fentanyl-laced marijuana, right? And what do you think that's gonna make that shit go up, right? It's gonna make that more prominent. I think it's really important to know where your drugs are coming from and know that they're safe and test your shit. Did you know that fentanyl test strips are illegal?
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking crazy? That's so fucking disgusting, okay? But yeah, if you do have some, yeah, just know that they are illegal, but I do keep some on me, and I also keep the other stuff on me. What is it? Narcan! I always have Narcan on me in my drag bag, so if you ever need it for any reason, you let me know, okay? 68% of Texas voters want consumable THC to remain legal. 68% of Texas voters! Okay, that is a vast majority of Texans want their motherfucking weed, bitch, okay? So, on to the next one. Breaking news! The hemp ban passed the Texas House 87-54. This is not a law yet, so we can fight back. Do you want to know how to fight back? Burn it down! Shut up. I did not say that. But I'm not opposed to it. Okay! Okay, listen, I'm trying to light it up, but I'm trying to light up my joint, okay? Okay. We are calling on Governor Greg Abbott to veto, okay? But you know, the way to convince these people, especially these Republicans, to like veto this shit is to talk about the way it affects businesses, right? Texas sits here and tries to flaunt itself as like this business state that wants businesses, right? Whenever I was, what is that? Oh, is that a weed pen? No. Hey, share this with me right now? Yes! I love digital weed.
Burn without the fire.
I got it, thank you. Hell yeah! Now we're getting crazy. Woo! So we want Greg Abbott to veto, okay? So something we can focus on when calling for a veto is to focus on the way it's going to affect Texas businesses. On to the next one. If we don't get a veto, no more cute gummies, vapes, and joints. You're back to buying ditch weed from your cousin's roommate. Bitch, no! I'm gonna sue the state of Texas over this one this time, okay? Imagine. Okay, on to the next one.
We need our joint.
You can help. Action items. You can scan these QR codes here to sign the petition to veto SB3, and you can scan and send a digital letter to lawmakers knowing you oppose the ban on legal hemp, okay? Call and email the governor's office and ask him to
Lightly.
okay, this is something that we talked about earlier in legislation. Learn how to sound like a Republican. Yeah, just sound like a Republican. To try to get these people to change their minds, you can say something about, I don't know, personal rights, my business stuff, you know, stuff like that, okay? Don't be like, I'm a big titty drag queen who relies on the weed to calm down the stress that you're putting me through this legislative session, okay? Not that. You say, I'm a God-fearing Republican big titty woman who God gave us the marijuana. Jesus gave this to us. If you love Jesus, you will veto this.
Or go to your house.
You think that will work?
Go to their house.
Go to Greg Abbott's house?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah.
Not like this?
Surround it.
Turn around?
Surround it, yeah, with that ass. Surround the whole house.
Surround the house. We can surround the house and we can do, that could be our joint, our smoke circle. What is it called?
Smoke circle, yeah.
Smoke circle. We can all light it up and just smoke around the governor's house, okay? Y'all think Greg Abbott smokes weed?
Not enough.
Right?
Not
like,
the right
come on, bitch. Okay. Okay, so those are ways that you can get involved. Okay, on to the next one. Contact the governor's office. So here is the phone number. I'll put this on my link tree, by the way, if you want access to it, okay? The script. Oh, they gave us a script. Okay, I didn't know this. Let's read this. My name is Bridgitte Bandit, and I'm a resident of Austin, Texas, and I am reaching out to respectfully urge you to veto SB 3 if it reaches your desk. This threatens the livelihood of thousands of Texans and the viability of our state's legal hemp industry. The bill not only undermines the federal definition of legal hemp, but jeopardizes over 8,000 small businesses and tens of thousands of jobs across Texas. So we're focusing on the business aspect. Rather than impose a blanket ban, I encourage you to consider a more balanced regulatory approach that ensures product safety while keeping Texas out of the illicit market, okay? I respectfully ask you to stand with Texas consumers, veterans, patients, and entrepreneurs, and big titty drag queens, and respect SB3. I added that one. Thank you for your time and service to the people of Texas. Screenshot for later use. I'll put it on my link tree too, okay? And then also here's some people you can follow to stay in touch about what's happening with the legal hemp stuff, okay? So, ooh, that pen's hitting. Woo! About to elevate here. Woo! Okay. Thanks for helping fight, keep plant medicine in Texas and save 8,000 businesses like ours. Thank you, Redeemer. Small batch. Everybody say thank you, Redeemer. If y'all have an opportunity to go support Redeemer, please do let them know that Bridgitte sent you, okay? I don't think you'll get anything for that, but just say that, okay? They're also connected to the Little Gay Shop, and we love the Little Gay Shop, and I am doing a drag story time with the Little Gay Shop on June 8th, okay? So, yes, I think that's it for this one, right? Good, okay, we're back. Okay, and now we're gonna have Haya speak a little bit about intersex people. Do we want to hear about intersex people? Okay, can I do my fun intersex people fact? Intersex people exist at the same rate as? Redheads! Yes, gingers. Okay,
What
so.
if you're an intersex ginger?
What if you're an bitch? Okay, I feel like I took a math class about this. And how do you find the rate of these people and blah blah blah? Oh my god, I'm having flashbacks to college. Scary! I'm just not good at school, y'all. I don't know if y'all know this, Ellie. It took me years to graduate. I still have nightmares that I never graduated, and there's still an exam that I need to take. Literally, I have to wake up and be like, where's my fucking degree? Is it here? Okay. Y'all, I told y'all that pen is hidden. I'm up here just yapping. Y'all make some noise for High as the Kites.
Just for a second to still talk about weed, I'm a disabled artist as well, and if it weren't for weed, the bitch would be on opioids. So weed is actually so good, please call the government. You know, I hate this bitch ass. Okay, let's talk about intersex people. Please read a fucking book on gender. That's a letter that I got, but y'all are nice, I assume y'all read. Anyways, this is how modern politics get intersex bodies wrong. So, what does intersex mean? So, medical experts generally agree that intersex people are people that are present with a mix of gender markers or gender characteristics that do not easily match male or female. This can come in a lot of different ways. It can come through external or internal genitalia. It can come through chromosomes. It can come through other biological markers. Certain conditions can also, for intersex people, develop at puberty. This includes things like hypoadrenalism, PCOS. There's a lot of conditions. In fact, there was somebody that was at the legislator this session that just listed them, and it was like 30 seconds of their testimony. So there's a lot of ways that you can present as intersex. The likelihood is actually that there's probably a couple of intersex people in the room. Some that might not even know that they're intersex. I think it's like 54% of people who are intersex have some kind of surgery done on them before they're 3 years old. So intersex bodies are highly politicized and they're highly medicalized in ways that are really like against them. I put resources down here at the bottom. So if you're like interested in looking at more of those, the Cleveland Clinic actually has a lot of information about intersex people. 1 in 100 people in the US are born intersex. It's actually closer to 2 in 100, which is also the world kind of statistic. They're as common as people with red hair. So yeah, we can go on to the next slide.
More common than farmers, actually. Fun fact.
Yeah, more common than farmers. You're more likely to be born intersex than you are to be born to be on a fucking farm in this country, and that's crazy. So let's go through some common misconceptions. Intersex people are infertile. That's not true. There are a lot of intersex people that can get pregnant or get somebody else pregnant. It's very common. Intersex people have both sets of genitalia. Not always true. Some people are born with external genitalia that mimics what we consider both sexes. So that's assigned male at birth and assigned female at birth. I don't like using the term both because that implies there's a binary, and nature doesn't like binaries. So we're just using that in air quotes right there. There are also, by the way, internal presentations, so a person can have internal testes, and all other genitalia and gender markers can be female. So like there are people that exist on a broad spectrum of external and internal gender markers that you can't always catch them, which is why I fucking hate Bill 229, because it says that gender is something that you assign on the first day of your life, completely divorced from the fact that a baby might not produce ovum like 18 years later. Another misconception is that intersex people aren't significant enough to count politically. This is something that Troxclair said a lot when they were trying to pass that stupid fucking bill I hate. They said that intersex people don't count. There's just not enough of them to consider. Republicans love to use this bullshit study that says that it's actually 0.008% of people that are intersex. Fuck you, it's not. It's just not. Science doesn't care about your feelings, Republicans, and 1.7 people are intersex.
Enough, all the babies count.
Yeah, oddly enough, you know who else is 1% of the fucking population? Trans people. How many bills are about trans people this legislative session? 1% isn't enough to legislate? Then how about you take that advice? Anyway, sorry, I can heat it. Go to the next slide. Intersex issues like transphobia exist because of misogyny and racism. Those are almost behind every single thing that you hear about intersex people. That kind of external bias against them is because of some kind of racist ideology or some kind of misogynistic ideology. Let me go to the next slide. Let's talk about race and intersex presentation. So, I am not a person of color. There are plenty of people that are people of color that are experts on intersex. These are what I found by doing research and reading. But it's always great to ask people who are part of these communities to share their thoughts and experiences as well, which is why I pulled up and I got excited like MLA format, and it's really impressive, talking about race and intersex. So, because gender is a highly political subject, everything is a political subject at the end of the day. Politics are how you define your life, so everything's politics. So your uncle's like, I'm not a political person, it's fucking are, Dave. Because it's a political subject, you shouldn't be surprised that this intersects with racism. Gender is defined in relation to a white European standard. So the amount of estrogen or testosterone that a white person produces probably has some differences from people with other lineages. Wouldn't that be crazy? It is true. In studies, including this one down here, it's found that AFAB people of African descent, particularly black women, produce different hormone levels than their white counterparts, especially ones related to gender. Estradiol was one, testosterone was one. These are variances that are completely normal. Cis women had these. Not just intersex, not just trans women, cis women had different levels of hormones related to gender. And these tests said that they would have been intersex even though every other they had genitalia that matched their sex assigned at birth. They didn't have chromosomal differences. They didn't have any kind of differences aside from higher levels of certain hormones, and they were labeled as intersex. So because of the way that we format, the way that we decide how gender works, we're actually making more people intersex, which hell yeah, grow my army. But our government doesn't want to do that. But he's doing that because he's an idiot. Anyways, we can go to the next slide. Oh, by the way, black women more likely to face scrutiny than white women that are intersex. This is across the board for just about every terrible fucking thing that happens on Earth. Black women get more flack for it, and including this lovely woman. So does anyone know who this is? Yeah? You raise your hands. Okay, well, it's okay. So this is actually. She does sports, so I understand why this crowd wouldn't be. Okay. So this is Caster Semenya. This is her in the Olympics. By the time she won this, I believe, gold medal, that was her 30th consecutive win, and that counts Olympics, that counts in international races, that counts world championships. This woman, incredible at the 800-meter dash. She also is intersex. She's one of the most famous intersex people on the world, despite not really trying to be. So when she won her 30th consecutive race, because she's so fucking fast, they decided that they were going to test her and look at her chromosomal levels, they were going to look at her hormone levels and things like that. And they found out that she was intersex. She was born with an intersex condition, and because of that, her body produces more testosterone. Again, she is a woman of color, so that can be a thing that happens, but she in particular was intersex. Because of that, the Olympic Committee and several governing bodies that judge sports, including running, said that she had to go on hormone replacement therapy and block her natural testosterone level so that she would be within the guidelines of the Olympics. They literally made her take HRT as a, until that moment, cis woman,
Cis parasex woman.
because she had an intersex condition, she produced more testosterone. You can go to the next slide. Here was their ruling on why she had to do it. The panel found that the DXD regulations are discriminatory, but the majority of the panel found that, on the basis of the evidence submitted by the parties, such discrimination is necessary, reasonable, and proportionate means of achieving the IAF aim of preserving the integrity of female athletics in restricted events. They said, yeah, we know it's discriminatory, but that's okay. Hey, next slide. That's not familiar to y'all? Yeah. We know it's discriminatory, but we should do it. Next slide. Hey, what's this? This is HB 229, that fucking bill I hate. In the context of biological sex, equal does not mean same or identical, and separate is not inherently unequal. Hey, does that remind you all of anything?
Yes.
What's that remind you of? Yeah?
Leslie Ferguson.
And what's Plessy v. Ferguson?
Separate but equal.
Yeah. Do you remember when we decided that, hey, maybe it's not okay to say that, like, things should be separate but equal? It was a long time ago. But yeah, so bills that target intersex people, laws that target intersex people, policies that target intersex people are broadly discriminatory. And it's not like they don't know that they're discriminatory, they write it into the bills. This bill knows that it's discriminating against intersex people, but it's doing so like because it can. Because intersex people are seen as easy targets. Go to the next slide. So, why are intersex people at risk in the state of Texas? I've been talking about my favorite bill for a minute, but let's keep going. Here's some legal and medical risks that Texas intersex people are at. So, bills coming to the state senate. So 229 is going to be voted on soon. And that bill, that I fucking hate, will define gender as something that is determined by your reproductive capabilities. Now, I know I said earlier that not all intersex people are infertile. Some of them are. Some of you who might be cis are also infertile for various reasons. Some by choice. This bill disallows also the monitoring of intersex individuals because you can only monitor people who have an M or an F. It declares that that is the only genders that we will be recognizing, despite the fact that there are people who are just not born male or female in this state. This also puts any intersex person with fertility-based differences, like the inability to produce ovum or sperm, on a legally gray area, because where does that person fall? There's some health conditions linked to certain intersex conditions. So if you have PCOS, endometriosis, or any other reproductive kind of concerning medical condition, you're at a higher risk for things like cervical cancer, breast cancer, uterine cancer. These are all things that intersex people are often at a higher risk for. If we don't have the ability to do research and funding for that research to monitor population growth, to get out information to these communities that are at higher risk, we're gonna lose people. People are going to die because of this bill. It would also, some intersex people do need hormone replacement therapy, and not just the ones that are Olympic gold medalists, but sometimes people need hormone therapy to live a more authentic life, a better life, to live a more true to themselves life. If we start putting people on registries and not allowing them to identify as someone who needs these kinds of things, we're putting them at risk. We've already seen testosterone as a controlled substance and people blocking that. If an intersex person that needs testosterone because their body does not produce it, but they are, as some would say, male, they're going to be at a higher risk for a lot of different cancers and a lot of different conditions, and then also just mental stress and mental anguish. You can go to the next slide. But let's celebrate a win. This is Representative John Rosenthal. Any biologist knows that there are variations in sex, chromosomes, I don't know why I'm doing a voice, chromosomes, hormone levels, and other traits where an individual's biological characteristics don't align with the typical male or female that word. The real question is, do you believe that all people have the basic rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of their own personal happiness?
I think that's written somewhere.
So So he said that when, I think it was 1108 was the bill. It's another stupid fucking bill that I hate. And it's another one that defines gender very strictly and narrowly. But I think that one passed out. So, we can go to the next slide. Intersex people deserve documents that represent them, laws that include them, and a society that accepts them. Right now, we don't have any of those things. So, that's unfortunate. That's kind of a bummer. Sorry, thank you for clapping, though. You guys next
The
slide.
first part of that.
Yeah, it was really great at first. Then I was like, boom. What can you do to help intersex people? I'd love a lot of help here. You can call your state senator and ask them to vote no on HB 229. You can go to the Capitol and speak with representatives empathetically and with the intent of education. Let's be nice, okay? They don't deserve it, but like, I deserve it, okay? I deserve a senator that's not gonna vote for a bill that fucks me because somebody was married, so please be nice for me. Just picture me like so sexy in the office and then talk to me. Support organizations like Land Illegal and Equality Texas, which help organize opposition to bills like that motherfucking Bill 229. Sorry. All legislative session, and for the love of Big Bill, vote. Get registered, vote. It's so important. You're not gay if you don't vote. Next slide.
So are you gay if you do vote?
You're gay if you vote. You're not gay if you don't vote. If you're libertarian, then you're a third thing, and I don't know what that is. We'll come up with it together. Get gay or vote. Anyways, this is me. Thank y'all for sitting and listening. Intersex people deserve your time. They deserve your attention, and they deserve legislation that reflects them. So, fuck Greg Abbott, and please call against 229.
Okay, that was so beautiful. Y'all keep it going for Highest and Pies. Highest been helping me all of our legislative session every week, and I appreciate him very, very much. So y'all make some noise for Haya one more time. Okay, we are running out of time, but I do want to promise if there was anybody who wanted to say anything real quick about anything that's important to them or ways to get involved, I'm going to open it up right now. Otherwise, we're going to do our 2 drag performances to close out the evening. But is there anybody that did want to speak?
I want to speak. I want to.
Come over here. Come on over. What is your name?
My name's Ione.
Ione?
Ione.
Ione? I'm saying it right?
Yeah, like Ione is here.
Ione! Make some noise for Ione. And what pronouns do you use? Your pronouns?
Oh, she, her.
She, her pronouns. And what are you speaking on?
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid. Okay, y'all make some noise for Ione.
Hi guys, so this is just going to be really quick, but mutual aid is super important, especially right now, and it can take a million forms. So please, if you are not involved in that, that can mean anything. That can mean going to a gun range, maybe, learning how to shoot, learning how to protect yourself. It can mean growing a garden and growing your own food. It can mean anything, but it's signing up your friends to vote, it's going to vote, and it's doing all these things to take care of yourself and your community. And I really hope that you all are doing that, and I'm so excited to see such a great community here in Austin.
Y'all keep it going for Ione! Yes, mutual aid is so important, especially right now when we're seeing resources being stripped from us. Remember, we always have each other, bitch, okay? Yeah, grow your own food, learn something, find something that's important to you, like find a community that's doing something. You know, I think something to remember is that we all show up in our own ways, in our own capacities, and any little bit of resistance matters, okay? So even if it's not like doing the most, like putting on a weekly show here at OCH, any little thing fucking matters, okay? And we all show up in our different ways that we can, okay? Who else wanted to speak? You want to speak? You want to speak? Brianna? Okay. Y'all make some noise for Brianna.
Hi, I'm Brianna. Me and my friend Lizard King, we are with. Sometimes I get nervous a little bit. We work with the Dare to Struggle, and we were out here on 4th Street talking about what happened. You know, the video that was shared everywhere on social media and everything, and about what happened to our trans sister that got slammed down by the APD, and they still need to be held accountable. They really do, and not only that, but, you know, what Stonewall is a fight against police brutality, and that's what happened. And then we're still going to continue to spread awareness about the video, and not only that, but like for all of our rights and everything. You know, it's just, it needs to be like talked about. And a lot of there's a lot of city council members that are like you know, I know they say they were speaking out, but like Vanessa Fuentes and all the council members, but we need accountability, you know. And they talk about accountability and transparency, and the same with APD, but they're not, APD, they lie, they're liars, and they lie to the media, they're pushing their, you know, they're just lying. We have to hold up APD accountable. Yeah.
They lied to the commission.
So what happened is there was a viral video that was filmed by Brianna and, what was your name again?
Lizard King.
Luther?
Lizard King.
What? Lizard King. Lizard King over here, okay? They go out and they record the police. Make some noise for that, okay? We love police accountability, okay? And, well, we love somebody keeping eyes on them so that we can ask for accountability, because this trans woman was slammed to the ground. The video went viral, right? And then we had a commission meeting where the police came, and they lied to the commission. So I asked them, you know, you're sitting here, they released a press statement saying that it had been reviewed by the police oversight, whatever, and that it was closed, and they found it within their law and policy. Whenever I asked them directly to their face, well, what happens when you're sitting here releasing these statements saying that it's within law and policy, but our community is sitting here saying that we don't want this for ourselves and we do not find this to be okay? Where do we go? And the police, it was the chief, was it the chief?
She used to be the chief, but
What is she?
she's
Chief of staff.
Chief of
Chief of staff, okay, so she wasn't the chief, but she's the chief of staff.
Robin
She
Henderson.
said, oh, it's still under review, it's still under review. Guess what, they went and they got the file that said it had been closed days before. She's sitting there trying to tell the commission that it's still under
The
review.
officer
So
resigned, he resigned. Well, first,
he was no, they're purposely, no, they are lying to withhold accountability. I do need to make another video about it. It's just a lot of, I need to get it together, but it's important that we talk about, because it is, there's so many limited resources for police accountability. It's really disgusting, and it's disappointing whenever you do try to hold them. You sit there and you have these commission meetings, and they just don't blatantly lie. I'm like really, really, really disgusted by it. And I think it's really important to understand that Pride started as a protest against the police, okay? And please don't keep us safe, especially these days. You know, even if you are a gay cop, you have to uphold the laws and policies that they are passing at the state capitol. So that's why we say ACAB, okay? That is why we say that. But yes, thank you for speaking on that, and thank y'all for the work that you do. Make some noise for them one more time. Is there anybody else who has anything? Yes, Dante, come on over here. Now make some noise for Dante is a local drag performer.
Hello, like Bridgitte said, Dante is my drag name, my name right now. My other drag name is Angel. Part of my work outside of drag is doing community work. So I want to speak about a local organization and bookstore in town that is such a sacred and important place to me. And I want to share that with you all, so you guys are informed about this location and this organization, and to possibly support for them. So Red Salmon Arts, also known as Casa de Resistencia, is a bookstore located on Riverside. In this bookstore, they sell and they collect books about resistance, primarily highlighting indigenous voices and Chicanx voices, but also like the name of this bookstore, it's called Resistencia, so it's House of Resistance. Books that just teach us about resistance in general. So we have literature, there's also children's books there, graphic novels. Reason why I'm bringing this forth is within this past year, this organization, this bookstore was defunded by 60%. Not only is it a bookstore, but it's a community center. If you follow them on Instagram under Red Summon Arts, you'll be able to see all the community events that they have. It is volunteer based, so by following their Instagram, you should see what days are available to visit the bookstore. A lot of people ask about how do you get involved in community? How do I support local community members? How do I get involved with the Indigenous community? This is a great source for you, and it's a great outlet for us to support our local community members. So follow Red Salmon Arts on Instagram. Please support the bookstore. They also have a beautiful garden outside. And yeah, if you can, please attend one of their events.
Thank you, Dante. I only know people by their drag names, y'all. Honestly, I forget that High as a Kite isn't actually High as a Kite, but
My name's Kaya.
it is?
Yeah.
What? Not the curveball. I wasn't expecting that one. Okay, is there anybody else with anything? Yes.
Can I speak about anything?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Right, so I kind of wanted to, I'm Bethany, by the way.
Hi, Bethany.
I kind of just wanted to say a few words about the recent, all-out attacks on our universities. You've probably heard a lot about the legal wars that the administration is going to with Columbia and Harvard, a bunch of other schools. This is happening at the state level in a bunch of other states, including here in Texas, including our school, UT, that I actually study at. And I wanted to remind everyone, Germany, for a long time, had some of the world's best universities. The university at Göttingen in Germany was the crown jewel of the global mathematical community. And then the Nazis took power. They purged the universities of perceived communist and immigrant and subversive and Jewish influences. And after that, the university system never recovered. The great mathematician David Hilbert was asked by the Nazi Minister of Education how his university was doing with the Jewish influences purged at Göttingen. He said, there is no longer any mathematics at Göttingen. And this is happening right now as the administration are revoking Harvard's ability to take international students and halting international visas and cutting NSF grants. My own field, physics, has been cut by 85%. Even the hard sciences are very much not immune to this. And the sad thing is, there is very much familiar precedent in the US. In a bunch of states in the 1940s, Southern conservatives, reeling from the social changes brought about by the New Deal, blamed New Dealers and communists and supporters of desegregation and their favorite boogeyman, racial equality. They actually use that term derisively. And sought to purge their state universities of so-called foreign influences. Here in Texas, the State Board of Regents purged a bunch of figures, including the president of UT, for refusing to fire professors who supported New Deal economic programs in econ and assigned the USA Trilogy by John Dos Passos in English. This happened in Oklahoma when the legislature grilled random professors over their support of petitions that opposed loyalty oaths. This happened in Georgia when the governor went on absolute merciless spree, purging the Board of Regents and firing every dean that he could, that he even thought opposed his segregationist and many historians argue fascist rule over the state, to such an extent that literally every state university in Georgia lost accreditation. These are events that have a lot of historical precedent. I have been reading a lot about this lately, even though history is not my field. I'm a physics student, as I said, but I firmly believe that everyone benefits from learning about this type of history. Everyone benefits from learning about the history of these assaults, these attacks on our basic freedoms, our basic ability to do scientific research and to act as, as local political actors. Because without this, our free society dies a painful, painful death. And we do not want to repeat here the fate of the University of Göttingen in Germany. So I don't really have anything to promote. I do have some recommendations on like books and stuff about things like this, but I just wanted to say I strongly advise that if you're at all interested in keeping abreast of the violations of academic freedom. Yeah, not those violations.
He said abreast.
Yeah, abreast. Yeah. If you want to if you want to keep yourself, in a situation where you're aware of what's happening and everything, I definitely do suggest that you look into the war on universities and academics in the past, because, and this isn't just the first and second Red Scares. All of this stuff happened in the 1940s. So I definitely want, to suggest that if you want to stay aware of everything, it would be a very, very good idea to look into what happened in the past, because where the universities of the past were investigated for supposed support of integration and the New Deal and communism, immigrants, and immigrant views. Today, these bogeymen are the names are just changed to DEI and gender ideology and student solidarity with Palestine. It's the boogeymen are different, but the ethos is all the same. It's all about crushing dissent. It's all about crushing student freedom, and it's all about crushing academia. So I just wanted to speak my piece on that a little bit.
Thank you, Bethany. Thank you very much for your time. Make some noise for Bethany. Bethany and I actually, we did the UT Day of Drag together. Did y'all hear about that? When UT tried to ban drag shows, we put all the students in drag, and Bethany was there, yes. And I think that's so cool. Honestly, I can't speak on it on social media, but I have taught several classes at UT since the ban started, and it's really interesting because they're not allowed to take any photos or post me going to speak at the university because it's a ban. There's a ban, they don't want to get in trouble, but they're secretly doing it, and I applaud that. That is resistance. Furthermore, there can't be any kind of financial record of them paying me, so I got paid with an HEB gift card. And if that ain't Texas drag queen shit, I don't know what is, okay? Anyway, speaking of drag, get ready for the last drag numbers of the night. Before we get into it, if you have a glass, raise it up. If you don't have anything, just raise your fist. Repeat after me. Protect trans kids. Trans lives matter. Black lives matter. Black trans lives matter. My body, my choice. Ceasefire now. Free Palestine. Fuck Ken Paxton. Fuck Greg Abbott. Fuck Elon Musk. And fuck Donald Trump. Thank you all so much for being here. Okay, welcoming back to the stage is our special guest.
Everyone here is going towards a really good friend of mine's gender-affirming surgery. So thank you to all of you that donated into all of that. And thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Tramada. Make some noise. Look, I got 10 digital weed. Make some noise for that. Okay, I know we're running so behind. Are y'all okay with one more number? I just want to do this last number. It's good in my head. I want to do it. So make some noise for me, Bridgitte Bandit. We love her. Anyway, make some noise for me one more time. And my $3. Yes, bitch. Give myself a Whataburger fry. Okay. No, thank y'all so much thank y'all also for sticking around. I know we ran late today, bitch. So also make some noise for the interpreters for sticking around too. Thank you for being here. And yeah, Thank you so much for being here and everybody who shared words. And we only have one more legislation. That's it. That's it. So I hope to see y'all all next week. We're going to be doing a ledge overview. What passed, what didn't pass, the wins, the losses, what comes next, okay? I may or may not have a call with the ACLU next week, okay? So we're going to see what happens and what passes and what we can fight in the courts, okay? So we're going to go over all of that next week, and then the second half of the night will be a drag show, okay? So we're just going to be doing a full drag show, no presenters, just celebrating some queer joy, which is much needed right now, okay? So thank y'all so much for being here. I'm sorry we ran late. Thanks for sticking around. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.